So here I have Google's latest release, the Pixel 7a, and I want to talk to you guys about my initial thoughts and first impressions on this device. Is it as good as Google's previous 8 devices? Well, let's talk about it. The first and obvious thing I want to talk about is kind of what a lot of people care about in today's time is the money, right? How much you got to shell out for this phone? Do you have to sell a liver? Do you have to sell a leg? What is it, right? Well, no. The phone is $500, which in my opinion is slightly too much. But if you order right now through my link down below, through Best Buy, you can save $50 automatically if you activate the phone that day that you pick it up. And Best Buy is also going to give you a $50 gift card to buy cases, accessories, or if you want to buy a new fridge and you just really want to save $50 on a new fridge. The choice is yours, my friends. So last year, the Google Pixel 6a started at $450, and like I said, this one, the 7a, starts at $50 more. So what exactly are you getting for $50 extra? That is a pretty important question because this phone is just $100 shy of the Pixel 7, which is arguably a better phone. But again, let's see the difference between these two phones. So with the 7a, you're finally getting wireless charging. You're of course getting upgraded cameras, the Google Tensor Generation 2 chip, and one of my favorite things that I think all phones in 2023 should have is a high refresh rate display. It's not 120 hertz, it is 90, but it is definitely better than 60 because 60 hertz is just, man, it's brutal nowadays, you know what I mean? So you get that, right? And you also get the 8 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to 6 gigabytes of RAM from the 6a. So you're getting it's basically a Pixel 7, okay? The Pixel 7a is basically a Pixel 7 cheaper. There you go. That's the video. But really, all those upgrades for that $50 jump is really not that bad. And you guys also have to remember, the big part of having a Pixel phone, as opposed to any other phone in the price range, is of course the cameras. That's kind of what sets the Pixel phones apart, even in the budget Pixel models, which I don't even know if I can call $500 a budget anymore. But there you go. Of course, the cameras. I did play around with them just a little bit. Here are a few sample shots, and they look great as always. I mean, especially the selfie camera, and of course, along with Google using that crazy skin tone algorithm, which makes your skin tone really as true to life as possible. And I still agree to that till this day. I mean, the Pixel selfies really make you stand out and they make your skin just fresh and true to life. Unless you don't like true to life. Maybe you like to be prettier than you really are. In that case, go Samsung. So aside from that, the build quality of this phone is pretty darn good. You do have plastic on the back instead of glass, which in my opinion is fine. It doesn't feel cheap. That's kind of my most important thing. If it doesn't feel cheap, I don't care what the material is. You can be fabric for all I care. That might actually be pretty sweet, to be honest. But you also have aluminum that goes along the sides. That's nothing new. So yeah, it's basically a Pixel 7 with a plastic back. Kinda. The Haptic Engine is also another thing I see a lot of people asking questions about and wondering if it's good. Well, it's not as good as the Pixel 7, but it is considerably better than the Pixel 6a from at least what I noticed, right? And of course, typing on it feels great. And obviously, this being a Google product, you do have some Google exclusive features like that long exposure, which is absent on the Pixel 6a. And of course, you do get that new voice to text feature that is only exclusive to the Pixel lineup of phones. Now, the thing that surprised me when I took it out of the box is that it felt very laggy and very stuttery. I was like, what the heck's going on? I was about to make a rant video for $500. This thing better not feel laggy and stuttery. But thankfully, I went into the settings, I went to the display, and I noticed that the high refresh rate or the smooth display feature is turned off, which means it was running at 60 hertz instead of 90 hertz, which automatically put two questions in my head. One of which is, if Google is advertising a high refresh rate display on this new 7a, why is it not enabled out of the box? The second question is, did Google do that to save battery? Because usually if a phone comes out of the box, that's the setting, rather, those are the settings that you should keep to get that expected battery life that the company says it should get, right? If you enable more settings, well, you can expect your battery life to go down from that. Which makes me kind of worried about the 7a. Because if this came out of the box at 60 hertz, if you put it to 90 hertz, that means it's going to get even worse battery life than what Google is saying it's going to get, right? Well, only time will tell. I will be doing a more in-depth review, including a battery review, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely stay tuned. So what about the speakers on the Google Pixel 7a? Is it good? Is it bad? I see a lot of you guys asking questions. Well, I'll be happy to report that they are definitely better than the Pixel 6a. And dare I say, they are actually pretty much on par with the Pixel 7. I still feel like the Pixel 7 has a little bit more depth to it, a little bit more clarity, but just by a little bit. They might be identical. I don't know. Maybe my ears are stupid and they're fooling me. I don't know. But in my opinion, these are pretty much similar. So with this phone obviously having the Google Tensor G2 chip, you can expect performance to be identical across this phone and the Pixel 7. In fact, even the amount of RAM is identical between the two phones, 8 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes. But the one interesting thing I noticed is that the ultra-wide camera on the 7a is wider than on the 7. So you have a 120 degree field of view here versus 114 on the Pixel 7, which means that this field of view, 120, is identical to the Pixel 7 Pro. Huh? Hi, editing Mark here. Well, I'm wrong. The Pixel 7 Pro actually has a 125.8 degree field of view, and the Pixel 7a 120 and the Pixel 7 114. So it's kind of right in between the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 7. These names are getting confusing. But the one thing I don't like about the phone is that the wireless charging speeds are so slow. 7.5 watts. That's ridiculous in my opinion, because with this phone, the 7, you can get up to 20 watts of wireless charging, but you do need that Pixel stand. But even without the Pixel stand, you're getting around 10 or 15 watts of wireless charging with the Pixel 7, which is of course better than the 7.5 watts on the 7a. So do keep that in mind. It's not as fast as the Pixel 7 series. So as I mentioned earlier, I will be doing a full in-depth review of the Pixel 7, including the battery tests and also including to see if the phone overheats or not, because it's a Pixel phone. And for me, I always get bad luck, and all my Pixel phones overheat. So please don't. So what do you guys want to know about the phone? Leave me your questions and comments, concerns down below. I'll try to answer you guys, and maybe I'll even answer your comments in my next video of the Pixel 7a, so stay tuned for that. And if you guys did enjoy today's video, definitely click that like button. It's completely free to you, but it helps me me and the channel out a lot. If I could only speak English, that would be fantastic. And also, if you are new here, consider subscribing. This was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.